Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today is the update for my Panna palette, and dare I say, this might also be the finale. Yeah, I missed last month's update because I was sick, and I opted to just keep it rolling and film the update when I had time, when I felt like I needed to film the update. And that time is now. I have honestly hit a roadblock with my Panna palette. My Panna palette was my Nabla Dreamy palette. There is not much left of that palette at all. I have currently 5 shades left, and of those 5, 3 are Frankens, 2 are original shades, and I have a Franken blush as well, made of 2 or 3 shades. And because I was kind of hitting that roadblock, I was like, I'm gonna introduce my ABH Nervina palette because I really want to pan that. And now that I'm panning that, I'm realizing it's so similar to my Nabla Dreamy. I'm gonna try and put up a photo of both of them. They are very similar in color story and vibes. And I'm very happy that I got some use out of my Nervina palette. I'm very happy that I depotted it into the packaging of my Nabla Dreamy palette. If you have not seen that video, it is in the playlist. I will try to link it. This is what is left of my Nervina palette. Luckily, I only had 2 pans that were kind of rusting. The others seem to be okay. But I'm very happy that I took the shades out of here so that I know that, you know, further rusting will not be an issue. But having it in my Nabla Dreamy packaging made me realize even more how similar it is to the Nabla Dreamy. And it just made me not really want to use it a whole lot. I was like, I'm gonna pan the exact same, but a very similar color story to what I've already panned and what I'm still sort of panning. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. So I am going to show you my palettes and go over the amount of uses. I won't have any before photos, I think, because I was frankening them and I've rearranged the palette, but I can tell you already not a lot has happened. Here is what is left of my Nabla Dreamy palette. We have 2 original shades and then 3 Frankens. Now, the biggest difference is I've hit pan on this Franken. This is a Franken of the shade Lullaby and like a tiny bit of the shade Illusion. I have used this 11 times in the last month to hit pan. It is just your standard mauve crease shade. I don't really care for it that much. I wanted to hit pan, which I did. So that is that one. Then here is the shade Vanitas, which is an original. I've used that 3 times in the last month. The next to that is Dogma, another original. I've also used that 3 times. And then these 2 shadows I did not touch. The blush that I made, I did not touch. I just didn't care for it. I'm gonna go over the total amount of uses, and then I think I'm gonna retire these shadows. I definitely want to keep the shade Dogma because I do really love this tone of brown for outer corner and liner and whatnot. The other shades I just don't care for. But let's go over the total amount of uses in this entire project. Now I do have to say that Franken shade is a combination of the uses that I had on the original eyeshadow Lullaby and then this. But yeah, all of that shade is in this Franken, so that's why I counted it that way. Lullaby I have used a total of 57 times in this project. Vanitas I've used a total of 76 times in this project. Dogma I've used a total of 118 times in this project. This Franken of Inception I've used a total of 12 times. This Franken I have used a total of 4 times. So you can see I just don't care for these shades because otherwise I would have touched them. The blush I've used a total of 134 times, which is totaling the 2 mattes that were in there and their uses that I already had on them, plus the extra uses that I had on it when it was a blush. I am going to keep that one. I might throw it into another project at one point. So yeah, that is the Nabla Dreamy. I am gonna let it go, except for the shade Dogma. I will keep that. And then that was my Panda palette of 2023, my Nabla Dreamy palette. Now let's look at the ABH Nervina palette, which is now in this packaging, which is sort of confusing, but we're gonna just roll with it. Again, I did not use this a whole lot, and I'm gonna put it back in my collection. I'm on the fence about doing a Panda palette because I feel like I just get quite bored with the same palette at the end of the line. So I'm thinking I might do like a roulette Panda palette, just seeing how much I can use it, not per se use it all up. So I've seen My Life Mags do this, and I will have her link down below. She's doing more of a roulette style Panda palette or project where she's just looking at the seasons and what palettes work for her in what season, and then working on those palettes and just getting use out of them, not per se being really focused to use all of the shades up completely, but just get as much use out of it as she can. So I've actually categorized my palettes by season, like what palettes I feel like are appropriate for the seasons. I don't know how it's gonna work out. I just don't know. I feel like it will keep me entertained a little bit better than sticking to one palette and trying to use it up. Although that's very, very nice and like satisfying to see a palette being completely used up. I just don't feel like I have the attention span to do it. But before all of that is happening, we are obviously going to look at my palette. This is what it looks like right now. So I'm going to go over all of the uses, and right away I'm going to also go over all the total uses. So in the first row we have the shade Soul. I did not use that at all. Then we have the shade Dazzling, which I have not used this month, and I've used a total of 3 times over the last month. Then next to that is Incense. I've used that 3 times this month for a total of 5 in the project. Then next to that we have Celestial. I've used that 3 times this month, and you can see in the corner I actually hit pan, which I did not expect, but 3 uses this month for a total of 7. Then the row below that is the shade Summer. I've used that 2 times for a total of 11, and that one also has the tiniest bit of pan in the corner. I just used this the other day as a lower lash line color and hit pan, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's that one. Then Volatile, I did not use at all. Rose Gold, I also did not use this month, and I've used a total of once in the project. Then Passion, I did not use at all, and also I did not use at all in the project. And then the bottom row has Eccentric, which I used twice this month for a total of 8 in the project. And then Drama, I've used 3 times this month for a total of 11 in the project. So these numbers really are the hint to I don't want to use this palette, because I just have not used this palette at all. Mind you, this is like a month and a half of progress. Well, I also have this blush, which I made out of the leftover of Wild Child and the shade Love, because I knew I wasn't gonna use that on my eyes. This is what that looks like. There is a bit of pan showing. It is very crumbly and quite loose. I am wearing it right now. I will swatch it for you. There were some questions about what that blush ended up looking like. What it looks like. It is a quite warm toned peachy pink, and it has the slightest bit of shimmer. Like, I can see it in the pat, but not really in the swatch. This is it build up a little bit more. So I am using that. I'm enjoying that. I've actually used that 6 times this month for a total of 9. So I'm definitely gonna be working on that, probably also in a different project, because, you know, it now is a blush and I could definitely keep using that. I do enjoy that one. So yeah, the palette is going back into my collection. I'm sorry, I had the full intention when I rolled in that ABH palette to continue panning it and let that be my pan that palette for 2024. Just, you know, give myself a head start, to give myself more of a chance to actually finishing it in 2024. But it didn't work out that way. So this is, well, yeah, this is the finale of my pan that palette 2023. I did not quite finish the Nabla Dreamy palette. I finished about 4 shades out of that palette completely. I frankened some, and I also, you know, I created those franken shades with extra eyeshadow out of other palettes. So, you know, the chances of me using up everything that I still had right now were very slim, because it was more than what was in the original palette. Is this making any sense? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to, you know, talk it straight for myself as to why I did not finish it. That's okay. Totally fine. I got a lot of use out of my Nabla Dreamy palette and I enjoyed it very much, and I'm happy that I was able to get it out of my collection by using it that much and enjoying it that much. So I'm not at all sad that I didn't quite finish it. I'm just overall very happy with how far I've gotten, and honestly I'm also very happy that I can put the ABH palette back into my collection, that I don't have to force myself to use it even though I don't really feel like it. And I'm excited to see what I'm going to be working on next year. So yeah, stick with me, bear with me as I figure all of this out. I hope that despite this being a very abrupt finale, that you still enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!